Tonight, breaking news in the second attempt on Donald Trump's life, what authorities just revealed moments ago. Also breaking tonight, the major explosion, a natural gas pipeline, families running from the flames. They say they could feel the heat on their skin. The powerful storms moving up the East Coast, Philadelphia and New York City will get this. And Diane Sawyer is here tonight with the family of Christopher Reeve. First tonight, the new reporting just in on what authorities are calling the second attempt on Donald Trump's life.
Take 2 steps to your right.
Newly released body camera video tonight showing the suspect's arrest. Authorities say he was just 400 yards from the former president while Trump was golfing on his golf course. Authorities recovering a loaded SKS-style assault rifle and a scope, revealing he was in the area beside the golf course for 12 hours before being noticed. Tonight, the moment the Secret Service agent, one hole ahead of the former president, spotted the barrel of the gun in the bushes, what they shouted, what then played out. And Rachel Scott tonight asking the Secret Service if there was a sweep of the golf course and that area of brush before the president played golf. And Pierre Thomas and what we've learned about the suspect already. Also breaking tonight, the images coming in right now, that major pipeline explosion, families racing to evacuate, feeling the intense heat of the flames shooting from a natural gas pipeline near Houston. Firefighters right now hosing down homes, trying to save them from the flames. The powerful storms hitting the East Coast tonight, the Carolinas first, more than 1.5 feet of rain. The system will then head north to Philadelphia and New York City. Ginger Z has the forecast. You'll remember that submersible on the way to the Titanic tonight, the final moments of that ill-fated mission revealed. For the first time, a chilling image, the submersible on the ocean floor, the crew's last words before it imploded. In New York City tonight, 2 former New York City fire chiefs now under arrest, what they were accused of doing. Remembering a member of the Jackson 5 tonight. The tributes pouring in. And Diane Sawyer is here, the moving interview tonight with the family of Christopher Reeve. Superman turned real-life hero. The powerful interview with his children, including our own Will Reeve, and the new documentary right here tonight.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to start another week with all of you at home. We begin tonight with the breaking news and the second assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump. Authorities before the cameras just moments ago, they say the suspect was hiding in the bushes along Trump's golf course for 12 hours. And ABC News learning a Secret Service agent, one hole ahead of the former president on that golf course, spotting the barrel of the gun in the bushes, yelling "gun." A team of agents then surrounding the former president, rushing him to a predetermined area of safety. That Secret Service agent ahead of the former president firing 4 to 6 shots, the suspect never firing, instead fleeing on foot and then driving away. The former president, after being hurried to safety, then taken away in a motorcade. The manhunt ending some 45 miles away on Interstate 95. And tonight, the newly released body camera video right here showing the arrest. Ryan Routh surrendering without incident. Investigators finding a loaded Soviet-style assault rifle, a scope, a backpack, a digital camera, and a bag of food along that fence. They say the suspect did not have a line of sight on the former president. Tonight, ABC's Rachel Scott asking the Secret Service, did they sweep the golf course and that area of brush before the president played golf? And how they answered.
Driver, take 2 steps to your right.
Tonight, newly released body camera footage showing the moment officers handcuffed the 58-year-old man. Authorities say camped out for 12 hours overnight at Donald Trump's West Palm Beach Golf Club with a rifle, apparently trying to assassinate the former president.
We are investigating this matter as an apparent assassination attempt of former President Trump. We view this as extremely serious and are determined to provide answers as to what led up to the events which took place.
Take a look at what happened.
What could be the second attempt on the former president's life in just 9 weeks, raising serious questions about how an armed man was able to get within 400 yards of Trump under heightened security protocol.
Is there any evidence to suggest that the suspect knew that Donald Trump would be on the golf course at that time? And was the golf course searched thoroughly before the former president's arrival?
So at this time, it was an off-the-record movement, meaning it was not on the former president's official schedule.
The acting Secret Service director saying today the security plan for the former president's golf game was put into motion once Trump decided to go to the course. Agents did not post up ahead of time. They did not expect him to go there.
Right on the other side of these hedges is the golf course. Officials say that anyone that makes their way into these hedges is simply just out of sight. And that's exactly what they believe that suspected gunman was able to do. You see the FBI right now, they are surrounding the area. They believe that suspected gunman was able to enter. Once Secret Service engaged that suspect, then coming out into this street trying to flee.
It was Sunday afternoon. Federal investigators say cell phone records show Ryan Routh was waiting approximately 12 hours in this area near the 6th hole, along the tree line of the Trump International Golf Club on the public side of the fence. With him, a loaded SKS, a Soviet-style semi-automatic rifle with scope, a digital camera, a backpack, and a bag containing food. Trump was moving across the fairway near the 5th hole when a Secret Service agent called out gun.
The agent, who was visually sweeping the area of the 6th green, saw the subject armed with what he perceived to be a rifle and immediately discharged his firearm. The subject, who did not have line of sight to the former president, fled the scene. He did not fire or get off any shots at our agent.
Secret Service immediately surrounding Trump and taking him to a safe location. Sources say agents fired 4 to 6 rounds. Routh taking off on foot, jumping into a black Nissan SUV. A witness spotting him driving off at a high rate of speed, taking a picture of the license plate number and calling the police.
Driver!
45 minutes later, police tracked down the suspect traveling northbound on I-95.
Walk straight back!
You see him exiting the vehicle, T-shirt pulled over his head and taken into custody.
He was smart. He was just driving with the flow of traffic. Yeah, I think that he may have thought he got away with it.
Officers asking if he knew why he was being stopped. Investigators say the suspect answered in the affirmative. Today, that suspect, Ryan Routh, transported in this white van, appearing in federal court facing firearm charges. Investigators believe he carried the rifle across state lines or obtained it abroad. The serial number obliterated and unreadable to the naked eye. The license plate on the Nissan registered to another vehicle that was reported as stolen. Late today, the former president speaking out.
We got into the carts and we moved along pretty good. I was with an agent, and the agent did a fantastic job.
Pointing the finger at Democrats.
There's a lot of rhetoric going on. Right. A lot of people think that the Democrats, when they talk about threat to democracy and all of this.
Vice President Kamala Harris condemning political violence as soon as the news broke. And today, President Biden made it clear, after already calling for increased security after Butler, that the Secret Service should have whatever they need from Congress and the White House.
Let me just say, there is no, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, those of you who know me, many of you do, no place in political violence for political violence in America. None. Zero. Never.
So let's get right to Rachel Scott tonight. Rachel, this was a very close call, and to have the acting director of the Secret Service confirm just before we came on tonight that it was a Secret Service agent ahead of the former president on that golf course who fired at the suspect. That agent was just one hole ahead of Trump on the course when he spotted that barrel in the bushes.
Yes, David, this was an extremely close call, and the acting director of the Secret Service emphasizing tonight that this was an unexpected visit by Donald Trump to his golf club. This was not on his official schedule. He says that he spoke to Donald Trump directly today. He assured him that he has the highest level of protection that the Secret Service has to offer. Tonight, we're also learning that Donald Trump and President Biden spoke by phone. Trump tonight saying it was a very nice conversation focused on his safety and protection. David.
Rachel Scott leading us off. Rachel, thank you. And tonight, what Pierre Thomas and our team have already learned about the suspect here.
Keep walking!
Tonight, that newly released body camera footage, the moment the suspect was captured. And overnight, the vast search underway, multiple properties. The FBI launching an urgent investigation into the man they believe was trying to kill former President Trump.
The subject had an active online presence, and we are going through what he posted and any searches he conducted online.
Authorities saying Ryan Routh has a lengthy criminal record and a disturbing obsession and frustration with the war in Ukraine.
We're going through media reports and public statements he made that he wanted to recruit Afghan soldiers and others to fight for Ukraine.
Routh repeatedly posted about supporting Ukraine and traveled there 6 times since Russia's war began in 2022. Our team spotted Routh at a protest in Kyiv in 2022. He also did several emotional interviews describing the war as a battle between good and evil.
You know, when you talk to a 20-year-old guy that sold everything he owns to come here and fight, that is heroism.
Investigators also focusing on a series of posts that were critical of Trump. Routh writing on social media in 2020 that he had supported Trump in 2016, but he was disappointed with his years in office, saying, "I'll be glad when you're gone." And in even more caustic language in a self-published book that appears to be written by Routh, he makes a direct threat against Trump. Routh was charged today with possession of an assault rifle with an obliterated serial number and with illegal possession of a gun because he's a convicted felon. The charges include a reference to a 2002 conviction for possession of a weapon of mass death and destruction. A law enforcement source with direct knowledge of that case providing ABC News with a chilling account involving a traffic stop where police saw Routh make motions toward a firearm in his vehicle. He then fled the scene, sparking a 3-hour standoff and barricade with authorities who discovered a fully operational machine gun. Today, President Biden acknowledged that the Secret Service needs, quote, more help. And this comes as top officials stress that this is perhaps the most dangerous threat environment since 9/11. The Secret Service director today calling the threat environment challenging and dynamic, David.
Pierre Thomas tonight as well. Thank you, Pierre. Now to the other major news this Monday night, that major natural gas pipeline explosion in Texas. Take a look. The images coming in tonight. Flames shooting up hundreds of feet into the air, seen 25 miles away in downtown Houston. Tonight, the families racing to evacuate, saying they could feel the heat of the flames on their skin. ABC's Mireya Villarreal on the scene tonight.
Tonight, a massive inferno raging at a natural gas pipeline in southeast Texas, scorching the ground and threatening homes nearby. Firefighters racing to put out the blaze just before 10 a.m. A tall column of fire shooting hundreds of feet in the air, visible 25 miles away in downtown Houston.
We just felt and heard this loud explosion. The whole building was shaking. It was very hot. Our skin, it was so hot on us, like as we were running away.
Nearby schools ordered to shelter in place, dozens of homes and businesses forced to evacuate after the blaze jumped a major highway, damaging at least 5 houses.
I'm wondering if I'm ever going to get home, if it's going to be okay.
Power lines seen just feet away from that inferno. More than 1,000 customers without power as temperatures soared into the 90s. Tonight, officials say they are investigating if that burned out car seen just feet away from the fire was involved.
They've shut the pipeline down, and until all the product that's in that pipeline burns off, it will be hours.
David, Energy Transfer owns the pipeline, and they said in a statement they have an inspector out here monitoring the air quality. At least 4 people suffered injuries connected to the blaze, some heat-related, others it's still unclear. But we do know investigators right now are trying to figure out how this blaze started in the first place. David?
Of course, we can see the fire still burning right there behind you, Mireya. Thank you. We are tracking this life-threatening storm tonight, bringing severe flooding to parts of North Carolina before the system then heads to the northeast, eventually Philadelphia and New York City. State of emergency in Carolina Beach tonight. That's south of Wilmington after more than 18 inches of rain. AccuWeather storm chasers with images of these cars submerged in Southport. Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z is tracking it all again tonight for us. Hi, Ginger.
Hi, David. You know, we start with a 77-mile-per-hour wind gust earlier this morning, and it's a storm without a name. A great reminder that you don't need a named storm to do a lot of damage. Look at that radar estimate south and west of Wilmington. So Boiling Springs Lakes, Carolina Beach, all in the 10 to 18 inches. So now the gusty winds and the rain with flash flood warnings go up to Fayetteville. Raleigh will have gusts through tonight into tomorrow morning, where we see that storm move to the north. So Virginia, prepare yourself. Rehoboth Beach is in there, all the way to Washington, D.C., David.
Ginger Z with us. We'll see you first thing in the morning. Thanks, Ginger. Next tonight, hear the final moments of that ill-fated mission to the Titanic, now revealed a year after it imploded. For the first time, a haunting image of the Titan submersible on the ocean floor, the tail cone buried in the sand. They're about 300 yards from the Titanic. Authorities revealing the crew texted all good here, then a half hour later texting that they had dropped 2 weights so they could try to float to the top. That was the last contact they had. We do have one note on the economy tonight. The Dow reaching another record high on the eve of a consequential Federal Reserve meeting, closing at 41,622. On Wednesday, the Fed could cut interest rates for the first time in 4 years, which could, of course, mean lower rates on car loans, mortgages, and credit card rates as well. When we come back tonight in New York City, 2 former fire chiefs under arrest tonight, what they're accused of doing. Also, will TikTok go away in January? And Diane Sawyer is here tonight with the family of Christopher Reeve. The deeply moving interview in just a moment here. Tonight, 2 retired New York City fire chiefs are now under arrest. Prosecutors say Brian Cordasco and Anthony Scavino accepted $190,000 in bribes to expedite building inspections in the city. Tonight, the legal battle over TikTok is now playing out in federal appeals court in Washington, D.C. Lawyers for the popular app fighting a new law requiring TikTok's Chinese parent company sell to an American company or face a ban in January. U.S. intelligence officials have called the company a threat to national security. TikTok arguing that requirement violates First Amendment rights. When we come back here, remembering a member of the Jackson 5 tonight, and Diane Sawyer with the family of Christopher Reeve. And this is moving. To the Index, and we learned today Tito Jackson has died, a member of the iconic Jackson 5, an older brother to Michael and Janet Jackson. Of course, he shared the stage with his brothers for classic hits, including ABC. Their performance right here on The Ed Sullivan Show propelling their career. Tito Jackson was 70. And the Emmys last night, and a big night for our parent company Disney, winning a record 60 Emmy Awards across all of our platforms, including Disney Plus and Hulu. Among the honors, of course, Shogun leading the pack with 18 awards, including Outstanding Drama. The Bear winning 11 Emmys. When we come back here tonight, Diane Sawyer is here. The moving interview tonight with the family of Christopher Reeve and the new documentary. Finally tonight here, Diane Sawyer with the family of Christopher Reeve. The interview comes amid a new documentary about the life and legacy of Reeve. Tonight, his children, including our own Will Reeve, on living with a real-life superhero, his strength, his bravery. Here's Diane.
For almost 10 years, Christopher Reeve embodied Superman. An actor so gifted, it's no surprise that in real life, there was nothing he couldn't do. He was an airplane pilot, an expert sailor, a diver, ice hockey, soccer. Almost 30 years ago, 42-year-old Christopher Reeve, a champion horseback rider, had an accident that was at once freakishly random and catastrophic. When he spoke of it with Barbara Walters, he was now paralyzed from the neck down and on a ventilator.
I had the great misfortune to get my hand stuck in the horse's bridle. So it's like going over with your hands tied, and that's why I landed straight on my head.
In the new documentary Superman, it is his wife Dana who will prepare their 2-year-old son Will and her 11 and 15-year-old stepchildren Alexandra and Matthew for the dad so radically changed.
She said, "It's gonna look really scary, but he's still there. Just talk to him. Ignore everything else, just talk to him."
As far as I remember, my first words were just, I love you, we're here.
I think in an effort to make sure that I wasn't terrified of my dad permanently, my mom made sure that I was involved as was reasonable. And that included always being near him and touching him and helping.
Oh, good, that's great, well, thanks.
Their injured father, their valiant mother, began teaching how a wounded family can still be a family. I hear you all saying, don't let anyone tell you what family is.
Absolutely. No matter how scraggly the branches on the family tree might be, as long as it's rooted in love, it doesn't matter what your family looks like, as long as it's yours.
About a village gone to ruin by a girl called Abigail.
She was always singing, and I, being 10, 11 years old, be like, "Mom, stop, it's so annoying, I'm trying to watch the show," or like, why are you always singing? Hindsight is 20/20, but I wish that I had asked her to sing more, because when I think about her, that's where I go. The moments where we're just the quiet moments of safety and happiness and normalcy and togetherness, like just we didn't even have to be in the same room, but I knew where she was. I missed that.
Our thanks to Diane and, of course, the Reeve family. What a family. Superman, the Christopher Reeve story in select theaters beginning Saturday. and I'll see you tomorrow night. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir America's most watched newscast.